Mercedes reveals the game-changing W15 Challenger. Mercedes has hit the track with a twist that's got everyone's eyes wide open. After a bumpy ride in 2023, they've decided to ditch the W14 game plan and gear up with something that promises to shake the very foundations of Formula One. The W15 Challenger. But hang tight, let's rewind and spill the tea on why the W14 got the boot. The W14 with its zero-pod concept was supposed to be a game changer, but instead of zooming past the checkered flag, it stumbled right out of the gate. The idea was sleek, trim down those side pods and slice through the air like a knife. Sounds cool, right? Well, not quite. This move choked the life out of the engine's power, all thanks to a cooling system squished into a space tighter than a sardine can. While Mercedes was busy playing Tetris with their car parts, teams like Red Bull were flying by, leaving the W14 huffing and puffing in the dust. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes' own speedster, didn't mince words about the zero-pod flop. He called it out loud and clear, pushing the team towards a much-needed U-turn. Toto Wolff, the big boss at Mercedes, caught the hint. They scrapped the whole zero-pod scene and started from scratch, a move that sent them back to the drawing board, while rivals kept racing ahead. But it's not just about ditching the old. The Spec B version of the W14, unveiled with a bang at the Monaco Grand Prix, promised a fresh start. New parts, new philosophy, but alas, the same old story. Issues like a sketchy floor and a cockpit that felt more like a stranger than a friend meant the car just couldn't find its rhythm, especially when it came to nailing those sharp turns and blasting down straights. So what's next? Mercedes is not just tweaking, they're overhauling. The W15 is their knight in shining armor for 2024, with every inch of it reimagined. From the bones of the chassis to the breath of the airflow, they're leaving no stone unturned, aiming to leapfrog back to the front and give Red Bull a run for their money. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, the W15 Challenger. Mercedes has been cooking up a storm in the lab, pouring everything they've got into this new beast. The team's been on a mission, reinventing the wheel, quite literally, to bridge the gap to Red Bull. With the W15, it's not just about catching up, it's about setting the pace, turning heads and rewriting the playbook for the 2024 season. James Allison, the mastermind behind Mercedes' technical strategies, is all in, betting big on a series of radical changes, from design desks to the wind tunnels. They're not just playing with models and equations, they're rewriting the rulebook on how to build a championship contender. The past seasons might have seen Mercedes in the rearview mirror, but they're gunning for the pole position with the W15. Allison's crew is doubling down, convinced they've got the secret sauce to turn their fortunes around. The buzz from the simulator room is electric. Anthony Davidson, Mercedes' ace behind the virtual wheel, claims the W15 feels like a real racer, a first in years, promising a grip and gusto that's been missing. They've listened to Lewis Hamilton, smoothing out that spiteful rear and to make the W15 something that not only flies on the straights but dances through the corners. Tackling the W15 was no small feat for the Mercedes squad. They had to dig deep, challenging everything they knew about building a speed demon. It wasn't just about tweaking bits and bobs. It was a full-blown revolution in their design philosophy. They had to sift through a mountain of ideas, cherry-picking only those that promised to push the W15 to its limits. Mercedes was determined to make the W15 a dream to handle, especially after the W14's rear end threw a few tantrums. They went all in on smoothing out the kinks, making sure the car's backside was as stable as a table. Lewis Hamilton, their star driver, had been hankering for a ride that didn't kick up a fuss, and the team was keen to deliver. By focusing on the basics, they aimed to make the W15 not just faster, but a joy to drive. Back to basics became the team's mantra. They've nudged the cockpit back a notch, about 10 centimeters to be precise. Sure, it's still a tad more up front than the Red Bull setup, but here's the kicker. This tweak could give Hamilton a sharper feel for the car's tail end antics, plus stretching the gap between the front wheels and the side pods. That's a masterstroke for taming the turbulent air those spinning wheels kick up. But wait, there's a twist in the tale. The shuffle meant the team had to rethink how they're playing the aerodynamic game, with the sys bar sitting pretty up top. Gone are the days of using it to swoosh air down around the car's belly. Instead, they've smoothed the path for air under the car, making sure it hugs the floor's edge like a dream. This isn't just tweaking, it's a full-on strategy to make sure the car glides over the track like it's on rails. Mercedes may have also found a loophole with a creative new front wing design. When you look at the upper flap of the wing, it is just connected by a very small carbon cord to the nose. This small but major change will create huge gains of downforce. However, we will have to wait for pre-season testing to see if the FIA allows Mercedes to continue with this brand new front wing innovation. And let's not forget the rear of the car. Mercedes has taken a leaf out of Aston Martin's book, borrowing a trick or two for the pushrod rear suspension. By hoisting the suspension bits higher, they've carved out a cavern around the diffuser, a playground for the aerodynamic wizards to work their magic. The front sticks to the tried and tested pushrod setup, but it's the back that's got everyone talking. The team was all in, hopeful that these changes would catapult them back into championship contention. The buzz around the Mercedes W15 has been electric. Fans, drivers and the team alike are all on the edge of their seats, eager to see if all the changes will pay off. Mercedes has gone back to the drawing board, not just tinkering with the car, but overhauling their entire approach to design. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes' star behind the wheel, is all revved up about the new ride. Having gotten a sneak peek, he's itching to take it for a spin. Despite a winless streak, his spirits are high, and he's betting big on his team. He's also tipping his hat to the team's efforts in becoming more diverse and welcoming. George Russell, another speedster for Mercedes, shares Hamilton's enthusiasm. He's convinced the extra effort poured into the W15 will pay off big time. Sure, there have been bumps in the road with previous models, but it's all been a learning curve leading to smarter decisions for the W15. At the helm, Toto Wolff, Mercedes maestro, is bullish about the W15's prospects. The team has been soaking up lessons from the past 2 years, brimming with fresh ideas to close the gap with their arch-rivals Red Bull. It's all hands on deck for innovation. But wait, there's more. After the W15 hits the track, Mercedes is already plotting a major shakeup for their 2024 Formula One contenders. Toto Wolff is talking about a complete overhaul, folks. We're talking about a no stone left unturned approach to claw back to the top, especially aiming to outdo Red Bull. James Allison, the brains behind the operation, stresses that rethinking their strategy is key. It's all about refining their design process and figuring out what makes a car go vroom faster. Mercedes is setting their sights high for 2024, aiming to iron out the kinks and zoom ahead of the pack. Toto Wolff lets slip that the 2024 car is in for fundamental tweaks, especially focusing on beefing up the rear end, all based on feedback from their ace drivers. It's not just about future glory. They're also fine-tuning this year's model to gain valuable insights and propel the W15 Challenger to new heights. So gear up, race fans. Mercedes is not just racing, they're rewriting the rulebook on what makes a Formula One car fly. With the W15 Challenger leading the charge, the future looks blisteringly fast and furiously exciting for Mercedes and its fans. Well, what do you think? Will W15 change the game and force teams to come up with new plans? Or is it just another part of continuous march forward? We are listening attentively to any thoughts that you might have. Enter into the comments section and let us start this argument going. Furthermore, stay here for more news and in-depth analyses concerning motor racing as well. That is where reality is tested, hence you will not want to miss out on the next events.